Thank you so much, Jerome, for this talk. It is... I'm just going to give you a little Wi-Fi here because that is something that's been on my mind for a while now. Let's start with some of the questions we got.
Sure.
I'm not sure if this one was like a saucy throwaway line, but it definitely is a question. What isn't company time for salaried workers?
Okay, so the answer is you're probably going to need a lawyer. The sort of thumbnail rule is if it's outside of the hours that you have reasonably agreed to work with your manager, then that's considered not company time. So that includes, right? So basically, you have office hours, right? And that's 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or 8 to 2 and then 3 to 9 or whatever. You have an agreement with your boss that you're going to work a certain number of hours, a certain point in time in the day. And really, anything other than that is considered not company time. If the bosses want to get sticky and hard to light about it, then yeah. But yeah, basically.
Oh man, I want to ask both, like, what about lunchtime meetings and what about on-call? But actually,
lunchtime meetings,
on call?
So lunchtime meetings are not actually something that a company can require you to do. Federal law dictates, even for salaried workers, that you get 2 15-minute breaks and at least 30-minute lunch. Now, the solution to that is that, like, a lot of places just say that it's an unpaid lunch, so they make you work a little more. But that's the law, whether or not you are exempt or non-exempt. That having been said, the company also says that basically because you're salaried, you can do what you want on your lunch. And by the way, you should probably be at this meeting. So that's not a great thing. As for on-call, the thing with on-call is usually, number one, it's disclosed during the interview process. And number two, it usually falls into the and other duties part of the job description. I hate that happens. I really hate on-call. I think it should go away, but that's where they get you around on-call. And generally, if you're on-call, I'm sorry, go ahead.
How would unionizing change on-call?
Oh, I think it's going to go away entirely. I think once you have a union, you can negotiate for real 24/7 coverage. If that means hiring more people in your organization that don't necessarily work during the day, whether that's in this time zone or in another time zone, I think that the end result of having a union is putting that on the negotiating block, is saying, we don't need on-call, we have 24/7 support, you're going to pay for it.
Nice. So one, we saw some real excitement about the New Yorker magazine who unionized across the entire shop. Like, it wasn't just one type of worker. So do you have tips for organizing across roles and teams, like accounting and marketing, support?
Yeah, support is a big one. Support desperately needs a union. And I say that as someone who's spent 10 years in support. The big thing is that you have to talk to your people, and that you have to remember that however many developers or ops people that there are in your organization, there are going to be like 4 or 5x number of people that aren't in that particular organization, who also have crappy healthcare and lousy hours and unreasonable PTO. Don't get me started on unlimited PTO. I have a whole rant about that. But
pay inequity.
Yeah. But the thing is that, like, yeah. So I mean, if you're a developer, there's a good chance that you interact with these people more than you think, right? If you are working at a company that has timesheets, for instance, you're always getting to know, like, the person in accounting who's handling that. If you have if you're dealing with customers, then you're always dealing with, account managers or technical account managers or whatever, right? And those people work with people who aren't in your organization, right? So you make introductions, you ask for introductions, you make connections, and then, when it's reasonable and not on company time, you say, hey, we're going to do a Discord hangout for whatever. Do you want to come, blah, blah, blah. And then you say, yeah, the real reason we're here is we're going to talk about a union. Does that make sense?
Yes. So this ties in nicely with, are there ways to get more involved with labor organizing in general? And or do you have resources?
Oh, yeah. So there's a slide in my talk that has a bunch of Portland local union resources. But the general rule is that if you live anywhere near a moderately sized city, there's probably a local of some sort there. And even if it's the Teamsters and you are not interested in being unionized by the Teamsters, you can go to the Teamsters and say, hey, my friends and I are trying to start a union in blah, blah, blah. Can you point us in the right direction? And they will be able to hook you up with whatever union they think is probably going to help you out, or at least point you in the right direction. You can never go wrong reaching out to IWW, which is the International Workers of the World, or the CWA, which is the Communication Workers of America, or the OPEIU, which is the Office and Professional Employees International Union. And they have websites and contact lists, and in this way of unionizing, Google is your friend.
Unless
in
you
almost
work there.
no other way.
Oh man, I just want to throw out that idea that's the thing that's been in my head. The reason why I think unionization is a natural outcome of DevOps is, like, we talk about breaking down the wall between Dev and Ops, but then we also see DevSecOps, DevOps QA. Like, everyone keeps trying to jam more things in it, and it's not about two or some limited quantity of organizations. It's everyone in here. We need to have, like, agile finance. We need to, we are running out of time, so we're about to go into lunch break. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us. We will start off our lightning talks at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Again, check out the sponsors. The raffles are really good. You want to?
Yes, I have one last thing. So I was talking to a friend recently, and they said to me, I don't think there's a collective noun for mansplainer. And I said, well, in fact, it's a well, actually.
Joke. Oh, thank you for saving me on the dad joke front, Jerome.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, everybody.